welcome to another edition of Living on the Farm. Well, the weather has turned nice and we've been involved in a few outside projects, and we're just going to catch you up a little bit on kind of what's going on down at the hoop barn. These cattle are just about ready for a market, and all of our load facilities here is made out of continuous pipe panel welded to pipe posts. And as we were putting it up, we had the option as to whether to get it sheeted with steel sheeting or not, and at the time we didn't want to spend the money. And then really the steel sheeting having to be outside like this facility is, we got to thinking that rust could be an issue, and thought it might over years kind of deteriorate and cause some sharp edges. So we were looking for something that we could put up along these continuous panels to make them solid so its cattle kind of funnel a little quicker. And we were very fortunate to find these 4x8 by ½ inch poly sheets. It's a poly plastic sheet, basically just kind of like a sheet of plywood. It's poly on both sides and something else in the middle, I'm not really quite sure, and then it's all formed together. And we were able to find those at a substantial discount. Amish fella here in our community makes ice houses for the Amish folks, and he uses it in those, and he buys it by the trailer truckload, and it's seconds material, but it worked fine for us. So, and then we decided that the best way to clip it up was just going to be to use the standard clips that come with the continuous panel, and we just drilled through from the other side and clipped it, and we was able to use short enough bolts where the bolt is actually in behind the bar. So if you lay a straight edge here, you're actually the bolt is a little bit behind you, so we don't feel like there's going to be any issue there. We also were becoming conscious that the gates took just a little time to shut because of the chain system that was on them, and we talked about some slam latches, but a young man not too far from here a week or so back had a fat steer hit a gate that was shut with a slam latch and popped it back on him, and he was able to catch himself to keep the gate from hitting him in the face, but it threw him into the pipe fence behind him and really caused him some serious injuries, and he's still in the hospital as far as we know. So that got us to thinking that maybe we ought to have some sort of a system to latch him a little quicker while we were hooking the chains. So we kind of came up with this. I don't know that it's an original idea, but it seems to work pretty well for us. We just took some ½ inch rebar stock and heated it up and bent it into this kind of a U shape, and we've got 18 inches down in the gate, and then we've got about 4 inches that catches that post to at least give us a little something, so that's just not free swinging while we're trying to shut the gates on them. So that kind of catches you up on what's going on out here, and we'll see in a couple weeks if all of our work paid off and they flow through and load just a little bit better. Along with working on the loadout area out there, we've also made another change here. It is absolutely vital that we have a very dependable skid steer to run this part of our operation here in the barn. And my skid steer was a 2003 model that I purchased probably about 15 years ago. Just kind of on a spur of the moment deal. We really weren't sure that the operation needed a skid steer, but it was worth the money, and I bought it. And as time has passed, it's been very good to me. I got good service out of it, but we just thought it was time to upgrade. So we purchased this new John Deere skid steer just last week. We weren't necessarily looking for a brand new machine, but there were some incentive programs on at the time, and we actually bought a new machine, some cheaper than they were selling the used ones for, just because of the John Deere financial incentives. So we're pretty proud of it. It's a 324G. It seems to handle all the chores around here really, really well. It's got the cab on it. The other one was an open station type, so keeps us out of the dust and the dirt a little bit. Hopefully keeps us warm in the winter and cool in the summer. So we'll track how this works out for us in the future, but we have high hopes. kind of give you a quick tour around the inside of our machine here. Over here we have the control panel, which allows us, that's the start and stop part of the machine and the park and brake. Some of the nice features on it is we're able to adjust our hydraulic flow, how sensitive we want it. We can also adjust what control pattern we use for our joysticks to drive the machine. There are about 2 different patterns, and I'm used to one pattern and Kyle is used to the other. So this machine allows us to switch back and forth as depending on who's driving the machine. Up here we have our light switch and our button that is our quick attach button there, and it unlocks the bucket or whatever we have on it, so we can change different tools on the front without ever having to get out or pull anything. Over here, probably a nice feature for the barn here, so we have a really nice backup camera that shows us exactly where we're at and to make sure that we don't bump into anything and cause a problem. So other than that, we've got just the standard fuel gauge and the temperature gauge and some stuff like that. And of course, as is any machine we use around here, it's very important that it has a radio. So we've got a radio here and get a few tunes going while we're working.